and we're not out of the woods yet. We're going to keep a very close eye on what's happening, especially over the next few days. But the response has been terrific, and I want to thank all Queenslanders for doing that. But of course, this is a very serious situation, and of course, over the weekend, I want Queenslanders to really think about social distancing. Really, really think about social distancing. Keep up the good hand hygiene. It is absolutely important. The other thing that I want to mention today too is, of course, from 1 a.m. tomorrow, Greater Sydney is a COVID hotspot. There will be delays at the border. So think about your travel plans and think about where you need to go and think about the timing of those journeys. I'm not making any apologies for those delays because our police have a very important job to do, and I want to thank everybody for the work that they are doing on our borders to keep Queenslanders safe. There is nothing more important during this time. So the Police Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioner will address this issue. So I'm very, very comfortable with the rapid response that has been taking place in relation to these girls returning from Melbourne via Sydney, and the rapid response that has been put in place by health and the police is outstanding. And I want to pay a big public thank you to everybody who has been involved in that effort. But it is also very important, if you are sick, to stay at home and get tested. Any symptoms whatsoever, we want people to do the right thing. And like I said yesterday, if you're going into a crowded venue, you need to make sure that you social distance or you leave if you do not think that social distancing is being adhered to. Now is not the time for complacency. Complacency is our enemy. So do the right thing, and if you see someone not doing the right thing, call them out. I do. So make sure that you do the right thing and we'll get through this together. I'll hand over to the Deputy Premier, and the Chief Health Officer will give a more detailed explanation about that man from Bellbird Park. Thanks, DP.
The new case reported today brings Queensland's total number of COVID-19 cases to 1,083. 11 of them remain active. 5 are in hospital. We broke records yesterday in Queensland for our level of testing. 9,076 tests, 7,627 Queenslanders. Of those tests, 726 were in the West Moreton HHS, 2,498 in Metro South HHS, the largest focus of this effort, and 1,428 in the Metro North HHS. The new case today is a 27-year-old male from Bellbird Park. He's related to a person who went to the Madtongsan restaurant in Sunnybank on the 23rd of July, and that is considered the most likely source of the infection. It underlines just how critical our contact tracing efforts are, and more than 1,500 contacts have now been traced related to these 3 cases. It also underlines how important it is for restaurants to keep a record of their patrons. Those records are incredibly important. They allow us to contact people quickly who may have been exposed to the disease. It also underlines how important it is that everybody checks that list of places where we think people who've been infected have been. That list is a source for information so that you can know if you have potentially been exposed. And if you see that list, if you know of anyone who's likely to have been to those locations, please alert them to it. Last night, Queensland Health issued a list of restricted suburbs, and I understand that it has been circulating on social media. I'd like to emphasise that that list of restricted suburbs, the only new restrictions that apply to those suburbs are to aged care facilities in those locations. There are no other additional new restrictions there. As I said, record levels of testing, but in some cases that has overwhelmed our fever clinics. We want to thank everybody who has got tested. We want to thank them for their patience, apologise for the delays where they have occurred. Testing is incredibly important. I want to assure Queenslanders that I've asked Queensland Health and the affected HHSs to do everything that they can to ramp up testing capacity, to improve queue management, to ensure that people get tested as quickly and as conveniently as possible. On the Queensland Health website, there is a page where you can put your postcode in and get a list of locations where you can be tested. Our fever clinics are not the only options. You can also be tested at a range of other healthcare providers, including our fantastic private pathology services, QML and SNP, and I'd like to thank them for their work assisting us to do those tests. And finally, today is the day that Queenslanders who are currently in Sydney and who would like to return without going into quarantine must return. So it's a message to anyone currently in Sydney who is a Queensland resident and who would like to return without having to go into hotel quarantine. Today is the day that you must come home.